Caitlin Clark's shoe. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, doesn't matter to me. Consistently, Nike is showing that they are dropping the ball. And if they push this back because there is a lockout, the wait, it's getting tiring. Put it out already, please. We have Shoe Insider, Nick DePaula, Insider, Slam Magazine, Front Office Sports.
Spring 2026. That's when Nike plans to release Caitlin Clark's signature shoe. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a player who broke every viewership record in women's basketball history, who had fans camping outside arenas just to watch warm-ups, who sold out merchandise faster than any WNBA player ever. And Nike's timeline, 2 full years after she signed her deal in spring. But here's where it gets worse. They just announced they might push that date back even further if there's a lockout, which means we could be looking at 2027 or fall as this shoe hits shelves. That's 3 Christmases, 3 holiday shopping season, 3 years of the most marketable athlete in women's sports history, sitting on the sidelines while Nike fumbles what should be the easiest money they've ever made.
This commenter says, "Y'all are not paying attention. Nick DePaula discussed this in Front Office Sports. Why would they put out an ad when there's no assurance that there will be a WNBA season?" Well, let's stay right there. NBC put out a WNBA ad and there's no assurance that there's a season. So that argument is just null and void. Cook that argument in 5 seconds. Easy money. Moving along. Let's hear what Nick DePaula had to say.
In terms of the design process here, because as you mentioned, the shoe's not going to be coming out until next year. Is there more pressure to get this first shoe right because of who she is and what she represents? And how long does it sort of take to put these shoes into production?
Definitely. I think this is probably the most anticipated signature shoe since LeBron's in 2003.
Nick DePaula is one of the most respected shoe insiders in the business. He covers sneaker culture for Front Office Sports, and he just compared Caitlin Clark's shoe release to LeBron James in 2003. The most anticipated signature shoe in 22 years. Not since the King himself has there been this much hype around a basketball shoe launch. But then watch what happens next in that same interview. He pivots immediately to talking about A'ja Wilson's timeline. Says Nike took the full 2 years with her release, like that's somehow the standard that should apply here. And that's where the logic completely falls apart. Because you don't put the most anticipated shoe since LeBron on the same production timeline as everyone else. That's not how you capitalize on once-in-a-generation marketability.
So that's 22 years ago, as crazy as that sounds. Obviously, LeBron's still going, but when it comes to signature shoes, this is a shoe that everybody's been looking forward to. The timeline always is 18 to 24 months. Literally in LeBron's case and maybe less than a handful of others has there been a rush timeline. So it really is a longer process that Nike likes to take their time with to make sure they get it right. We just had a similar wait with A'ja Wilson. That felt like a really long process from my perspective too. And it was a full 2-year process that fully released this.
Here's what Nike's own shoe insider just admitted on national television. They have a rush timeline. It exists. They've used it for LeBron and, quote, maybe less than a handful of others. So Nike has proven they can expedite this process when they want to. They've done it before. They have the capability, the infrastructure, the manufacturing relationships to fast-track a signature shoe. The question isn't whether they can do it. The question is why they chose not to do it for Caitlin Clark. Because when you're sitting on the most marketable athlete in women's sports, someone who's driving ratings that dwarf anything the WNBA has ever seen, you don't treat her like she's in line behind everyone else. You cut to the front. You prioritize, you strike while the iron is molten hot.
So imagine this. Imagine going from comparing Caitlin Clark's shoe release date to LeBron's, the most anticipated since LeBron's, and then putting her in the same category as A'ja Wilson as far as wait time goes. One more time. The most anticipated shoe release since LeBron's, and then we're putting her in the same category as A'ja Wilson as far as wait time goes. 1 + 1 isn't equal 2 here.
Spring 2026 was always the plan. DePaula says, time to coincide with the WNBA's 30th anniversary season. That sounds nice on paper, right? Good marketing synergy, commemorative moment, all that corporate speak, but it ignores one massive reality. Caitlin Clark's cultural impact is happening right now. Not during some anniversary celebration. Now. She broke the NCAA scoring record in February 20. Her rookie season shattered every WNBA viewership metric that same year. The Fever went from playing in empty arenas to selling out road games because visiting fans wanted to see her. That momentum doesn't wait around for Nike's convenient timeline. That momentum has an expiration date, and every month that passes without a signature shoe on shelves is money evaporating into thin air.
You would think that they would expedite the process. They would rush the process. They would put all of their eggs in this bucket, so to speak. But we talked about this last week. Nike and their initiatives couldn't let them do that. Nike and their biases couldn't let them do that. He said himself, you see it with LeBron and a handful of others, a rush process. Yeah, Caitlin Clark should be one of those handful of others. That's.
Let's talk about what that comparison actually means. A'ja Wilson is a two-time MVP, a champion, one of the greatest players in WNBA history. Absolutely no disrespect to her accomplishments. But here's the reality Nike doesn't want to acknowledge. Caitlin Clark's first regular season game drew more viewers than any WNBA Finals game in league history. Her jersey outsold every other player's merchandise combined in the first month. She brought casual sports fans who'd never watched women's basketball into the WNBA ecosystem. The scale is different. The cultural moment is different. The business opportunity is different. So why is Nike treating this like it's the same situation? Why is the most anticipated signature shoe since LeBron getting the standard timeline instead of the expedited process they've used before? Because either Nike doesn't understand what they have, or something else is influencing these decisions.
Move on. They don't want to make money. They're wasting money. It's ridiculous. This whole Nike, Caitlin Clark scenario. I mean, we can cope and we can make excuses, but at the end of the day, shit should have came out already. At the end of the day, it should have came out already. You don't get behind the A'ja Wilson line. You cut in front of the line to make moolah.
2 Christmases have already passed. December 2024, Caitlin Clark was the hottest name in basketball. Kids wanted her jersey, her merchandise, anything associated with her. Nike could have owned that holiday season with a signature shoe release. They didn't. December 2025, same story. She's coming off a Rookie of the Year campaign, playoff appearance, continued dominance. Another holiday season where parents are asking for Caitlin Clark shoes, and Nike has nothing to sell them. Now we're potentially looking at Christmas 2026 at the earliest. Maybe 2027 if this lockout pushes things back. That's not a delay. That's a complete failure to read the market. Because by the time this shoe finally releases, we're banking on the assumption that her popularity hasn't peaked, that casual fans are still engaged, that the WNBA hasn't squandered this momentum with labor disputes and canceled seasons.
2 Christmases we've already missed. 2 Christmases. The CC3 should be rolling out by now. It's not. I don't want to get trademarked here, but NBC, they put out a hype video. Probably the best thing. ESPN never put out a hype video like this before. Soundtrack was actually good. The WNBA is coming to NBC and Peacock. We take a look at the comment. You sure about that? You sure about that? Is it? Did they sign the CBA? Hey, Jay, still legend. I don't think they signed. As everything else in this world, they came and went. Damn. Pushing a promo like no one else has internet and is unaware. Yeah.
NBC just dropped a hype video for their WNBA coverage. Production value was incredible. Soundtrack was perfect. The kind of promotional content ESPN never came close to creating. And immediately, the comments section filled up with one question. Are you sure there's going to be a season? Because the CBA negotiations are a disaster right now. And there's a very real possibility we're looking at a lockout that cancels the entire 2026 campaign. But here's what destroys that excuse about Nike waiting. Because of uncertainty. NBC is promoting a season that might not happen. They're investing in marketing, building hype, putting money behind this broadcast deal. If the network that just paid for WNBA rights is confident enough to run promotional campaigns, why is Nike using the potential lockout as justification to delay a shoe release even further? The logic doesn't hold up.
Players to get the deal done. Neither organization cares about the fans, and both think they have all the cards to play. They do. Organizations have all the cards to play. It's the players that will lose out on this. These owners, they're already rich. Come on, they don't got much to lose. Let's be fair. Let's be real here. They don't got much to lose here. Like, oh no, I'll go through another season not making money on this league. Oh shucks. Oh shucks. But is it? Last I heard, there's going to be a strike or a lockout. Yes, that's what we last reported over here. NBA weekend. There's going to be a picket. There's going to be a picket line of Nafisa Collier and Aneka Ogwumike and Brianna Stewart holding up picket signs with catchphrases on them. Is there a season? Get the CBA signed. Until the league starts acting like professionals and not junior high girls' locker room, progress will not be made. It costs them nothing to promote their own lead in programming, and no, they don't have any inside information on CBA talks. Tell them to sign the CBA already. Oh yeah, folks, to this point right here, big mistake if y'all force people to subscribe and watch. Don't buy your tickets yet. Don't make travel accommodations yet. Don't re-up your WNBA League Pass if you're going to do that yet. If you need other apps that you watch the WNBA with, hold off on all that until a deal gets signed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me.
Let's break down exactly what Nike is risking here, because the numbers tell a story that should terrify their board of directors. When Caitlin Clark played her first WNBA game in May 2024, it drew 2.1 million viewers on ESPN. That's more than any regular season game in league history. The previous record was around 700,000. She tripled it in her debut. Her rookie season averaged 1.2 million viewers for Fever games, while non-Fever games averaged under 400,000. The gap is staggering. She wasn't just moving the needle, she was the entire reason people tuned in. Merchandise sales reflected the same pattern. Dick's Sporting Goods reported that Caitlin Clark jerseys outsold every other WNBA player combined in the first 6 weeks of the season. Fanatics said her rookie jersey became the fastest-selling basketball jersey in their company's history. Men's or women's? We're talking about a player generating revenue at a scale the WNBA has never seen before. And Nike's response to this unprecedented marketability, a standard 2-year development timeline, the same process they used for players who don't generate a fraction of her cultural impact. It's business malpractice disguised as careful planning. Think about what a Christmas 2024 release could have meant. Parents scrambling to get their daughters the Caitlin Clark signature shoe, kids wearing them to youth basketball games, to school, posting them on social media. That's not just revenue from shoe sales. That's brand building that compounds over years. That's creating the next generation of fans who grow up associating Nike with the player who inspired them to pick up a basketball. Instead, Nike ran a Christmas Day commercial. Nice gesture. Decent production value. But commercials don't generate the same revenue as products people can actually buy. And they certainly don't create the cultural moment that comes with a successful shoe launch during peak shopping season. Now let's talk about the lockout excuse, because it reveals how fundamentally Nike misunderstands this situation. The argument goes like this: why release a shoe if there might not be a season for her to wear it? Seems logical on the surface, but it ignores how signature shoes actually work in the market. Michael Jordan retired in Jordan brand did $3.6 billion in revenue in 20. The shoes don't need the player to be actively competing. They need the player's cultural relevance to remain intact. And right now, Caitlin Clark's cultural relevance is at an all-time high. A lockout doesn't change the fact that she's the most famous women's basketball player in America. It doesn't erase her college career, her rookie season, her impact on the sport. If anything, a lockout makes the shoe release more important, not less. Because if there's no WNBA season in 2026, that shoe becomes one of the few ways fans can still connect with her, still support her, still feel involved in her journey. Nike should be accelerating the timeline, not delaying it further. But here's what really exposes the flawed logic. Nike has never waited for perfect conditions before. They released Kobe's shoes during the 2011 NBA lockout. They launched signature shoes for injured players who missed entire seasons. They've built entire marketing campaigns around athletes who were sidelined, because the shoe isn't just about what the player is doing right now. It's about what they represent. So when Nick DePaula says this is the most anticipated signature shoe since LeBron in 2003, he's acknowledging something crucial. This isn't a normal product launch, this is a cultural event. And cultural events require different strategies than standard releases. LeBron got the Rush timeline. Caitlin Clark is getting the A'ja Wilson timeline. That gap tells you everything you need to know about how Nike is approaching this. The comments section on that NBC hype video was brutal, but honest. Fans saying you sure about that and sign the CBA first. And neither organization cares about the fans. That's not negativity. That's realism from people who've watched the WNBA fumble momentum before. And they're watching Nike do the same thing right now. Because at the end of the day, this isn't complicated. You have the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history. You have proven demand for her products. You have manufacturing capabilities to expedite the process. You have examples of successful rush timelines with other athletes. Every single element needed for a successful early release exists. The only thing missing is the decision to actually do it. And that's what makes this so frustrating to watch. This isn't a situation where Nike is constrained by circumstances beyond their control. This is a choice to treat Caitlin Clark like she's just another player in the pipeline instead of recognizing her as a once-in-a-generation marketing opportunity. A choice to prioritize whatever internal politics or brand initiatives are driving these decisions over the obvious financial upside of striking while the iron is hot. 3 years from signing to release, maybe 4 if the lockout delay happened. By that timeline, we're asking Caitlin Clark's cultural relevance to sustain itself without one of the primary tools athletes use to build their brand. We're hoping that casual fans who tuned in for her rookie season are still engaged years later despite potentially missing entire seasons due to labor disputes. We're gambling that no other player emerges to capture that same lightning-in-a-bottle moment she created. That's not a strategy. That's hoping everything works out despite making every wrong decision along the way. And if you're a Nike shareholder watching this unfold, you should be asking some very pointed questions about why the most anticipated signature shoe in 2 decades is being handled like it's business as usual. So what happens now? Best case scenario, the CBA gets signed, the 2026 season happens, and the shoe release is on schedule in spring. That's still 2 full years of lost revenue, 2 holiday seasons that could have generated hundreds of millions in sales. Worst case scenario, the lockout happens, Nike delays further, and by the time this shoe finally hits shelves, we're looking at 2027 or beyond. At that point, you're not capitalizing on momentum. You're hoping it still exists. The saddest part, this was all preventable. Nike had every opportunity to fast-track this release, to treat Caitlin Clark with the same urgency they've shown other generational talents, to recognize that her impact on women's basketball is happening right now and requires immediate action. Instead, they chose the safe, bureaucratic, by-the-book approach that treats her like she's interchangeable with every other athlete in their roster, and that's why fans are frustrated. That's why the comments on every Nike Caitlin Clark post are filled with people asking where the shoe is, because everyone can see the obvious opportunity being wasted in real time. Everyone except, apparently, the people making decisions at Nike. Tell me in the comments, would you still buy this shoe if it doesn't release until 20? Does Nike's timeline make any sense to you? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like one of the biggest fumbles in sports marketing history happening in slow motion. Hit that subscribe button if you want more WNBA analysis that actually calls out these decisions instead of making excuses for them. I'll see you in the next one.